My name is Alquin Heinnickel. I'm one of the owners and the manager of Heinnickel Farms. We're located in Westmoreland County. We're about 40 miles east of Pittsburgh. We're in a pretty heavily populated area, and we farm in the neighborhood of around 2,000 acres. We're basically a beef cattle operation. We feed cattle, and like I say, we feed cattle and we raise crops. Our basic crop is corn and soybeans, of course, like all other farmers. We do plant about 100 or 150 acres of barley, which we use as not only for grain, but we use it as our cover crop after corn silage. Here you're standing on what was once a huge coal slate dump. We bought this farm about 10 years ago, and with the farm came this huge slate dump, which was processed coal. We were very fortunate that a company removed the dump for us. It took about a 2-year process of them hauling the dump away. And then after that, we leveled it. There was no topsoil brought in, which was probably a mistake. We should have had a little bit of topsoil. And you're standing on right now, which is a new seeding of alfalfa, timothy, and orchard grass. And it looks pretty good. I think we're going to be able to grow alfalfa on this ground. I've always had the dream to grow corn, but I just don't think it's going to be there for a couple of more years. But I think we can grow good hay and get good use out of the land. And this is probably the first one that I know of in our immediate area that's actually going to try to be economically thing that we can grow something that we can harvest and sell. With the help of NRCS, we were able to, we did put some drainage lines in because there's a lot of water that flows down through. We've gone away from using diversions to beginning to use 30-foot wide, just flat strips that we'll be able to mow off and use for hay. So we'll be able to use the land and yet still have breakers. Now, one of the biggest problems we've had with this land is it's very highly erodible. And until we can get enough organic matter, then we're fortunate that we have almost 900 head of cattle. So this land gets approximately 10 to 12 tons of manure every year. And we're trying to build organic matter to stop the erosion if we can. I'm going to take you on up to show you some cover crops on this same farm that were not part of the dump, but they were stripped at one time, and the land was extremely poor when we came here. We'll look at those. We're now growing corn. Our goal here is to produce 150 bushel corn consistently. This land is getting very close to it. This year it didn't do as well because we had an extremely dry year. Our yields were down to about 105 to 107, which I think this year, with the weather conditions, it was pretty darn good. Here's a radish. See it here? This is all that was in the ground, and the rest grew up. So that's telling you that you got hard pan there. The radish couldn't get down through. As you can see, I have broken it off. It was probably only that long. So it has grown as much up as it has down into the soil. So that's telling me we've got hard pan here, that it's not able to do it. Now this radish here was able to penetrate the ground. As you can see, the whole radish was in the ground. But this one here is telling you it was pulled at a place where there's hard pan. Now hopefully that root got down in there and it'll start to break that hard pan. This is soil, this is land that was stripped in the 70s, and it's been a tough go. This year, like I say, if you look over the hill where the barley's planted, where we took corn silage off, the yield on it was just a shade over 100 bushel. And it was because it just got dry. It just got so dry here, we went for 3 weeks without a drop of rain. And we've been cover cropping the corn silage ground for probably 20 years already. That's where we plant the barley on top, because that really is highly erodible when you take that corn silage off. And plus, so many times it's been compacted from the harvester and the wagons running over it, that it really helps to get it covered up and the barley grown. And you keep your weeds down. If you can keep something you want growing on that ground, you can hold back your weeds. I think this field that I'm standing in will be planted in corn next year. We'll come in the spring and we'll spray it, and we'll plant corn, no-till, of course. And then in the back, if you look, I'm not sure if you can see it, there's a green strip line where the corn stalks were taken off over here on the top of the hill. That was corn silage that was put in silos, and barley is planted. We'll harvest that barley, and then we will double crop soybeans. That way we're getting 2 uses out of it, and we're keeping the land covered up and something growing on it at all times. Usually we try real hard to run a 5-year rotation of hay. We like, when we do seeding, we like to keep it in a grass hay mix for 5 years if we can, and that's strictly economical. It's very expensive to plant hay, and if we get a good stand, we try to get 5 years out of it. There's some, if you can see over here in the background, you'll see there's some oats blended in with that. And the reason we do that is oats greens real fast, and frost will kill it. The frost will kill it, and next spring it makes a real good thatch for no-tilling. We found we could no-till in soybean ground because it was nice and clean. It worked good. And I think our seed companies have done a great job of getting better seed that can withstand that, putting it in the soil. Like I say, yield-wise, I think we yield, I know this year we out-yielded conventional corn. One of our best yields this year is on a field that had a barley that we left and sprayed it and planted it, and it was able to withstand the drought in July and came back. It averaged almost just right around 140 bushel, which is one of our best this year. And we have some pretty good ground that, you know, that we've owned for 50 years, and we manure everything. We try to cover all of our corn ground every year with maximum of 10 to 12 ton. It depends. Our feedlot is approximately 10 miles from what we call the Greensburg farms. So we haul manure here, dump it, and then spread. We use dry storage. We do not use liquid manure. We left liquid manure 15 years ago because it just costs too much to haul water. So we've gone to covered storage, where our manure is actually kept in a storage area. That again was one of the things we had to do. And I think it works a lot better. We're able to do things that we couldn't do otherwise. We've always planted barley over our corn stalks where we take corn silage off. And where we're really seeing as good is if we could just find a cover crop that we could plant in November and grow. Now we've been fooling around with some rye. We're going to plant 100 acres of rye this year. We like to use barley because we feed barley. We'll feed 7,000 or 8,000 bushel of barley. So we'll go through in the spring and we'll look at all these barley fields, and the ones that look good enough we'll keep. And like I say, we'll double crop beans into them, and the ones that are not real good, freeze out and so forth, we'll spray and plant corn. So it deviates a little bit from our crop rotation, but you know, a crop rotation can't be set in stone. It doesn't work. Anybody that tells you I follow my crop rotation, they can't. It's impossible because weather, everything changes. Even the market changes. You look at your mix, and you think, well, you know, where can I make the most money? Do I plant corn? Do I plant beans? Now we're locked into a certain amount of corn because we need feed. But you know, like I say, you have to look each year at economically feasible what you're going to plant and where you think you can make the most money to survive.